Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. We are super glad to have you. Thank you for being patient with us. It's now time to begin 10x Your Business webinar. You can use the emoji if you're excited as I am, because I'm very excited. Thank you so much, everyone, for waiting. For those who are just joining, welcome, welcome. We are glad to have you. This is again 10x Your Business webinar. The day we've been waiting for, the meeting we've been waiting for, to learn and to get everything that we are to get to actually 10x our business. We are not all about buzzwords here. We want to get the job done, and that's why we organize this for every business owner, every co-founder, and you made it here today. Thank you again. Thank you so much once again. Good evening, everyone. And I haven't asked since we started, but I trust you're doing great and I trust your day went well. You can actually respond to me with your emoji. Yeah, did your day go well? Give me a thumbs up. Let me have a thumbs up. Or is your day going well? Nice, 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 nice. Thank you. Thank you. Good to know. Good to know. Mine is going well as well. Mine is going well, especially because we are here together doing this together. So it's my absolute pleasure again to welcome you to the 10x Your Business webinar. A webinar, I mean, for business owners and founders who truly want to 10x and scale globally. We're very excited that we get to share this beautiful Thursday evening with you for a few hours whilst we discuss business strategies, smart marketing and ads, and everything we need to know to actually turn our big ideas that we all have into bigger results, and to work smarter, not just by doing more, but by doing what really matters. And I have some really, really, really special and fantastic people in here. Really, I might not be able to mention all their names at once right now, but these people, I can rave on and on about how special they are. I can rave on and on about how fantastic that they are. And actually, they are the reason why this webinar is happening. They literally keep the world and the economy in good shape. And I'm not capping that, like you use that slang, I'm not. They're really, really amazing and special people. If you don't already know who I'm talking about, well, I'm talking about you. Yes, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about every single business owner, founder, CEO, COO, everyone trying to turn their big ideas into bigger results. Every single one of you. I'm talking about you, and I think you're the most special persons here today. Please use the emoji to celebrate yourself to the fullest. I know we can't see ourselves and give ourselves a round of applause, but do so with the emoji. You can clap for yourself, celebrate yourself. In fact, you can stand up wherever you are and give yourself all the accolades because you deserve it and you deserve more. A huge well done to you for all you've been doing in the business sector and for your business. Not many people would have seen the late night works, the worry, the hustle, the bustle, the when are we running ads, the what should we run, all of those things. You've been behind it. You've been the brain behind it alongside with your team. You already have one. So you are the star here. Thank you so much again for joining us for 10x Your Business webinar. And it's because we see you, we see all of those late night works, we see all of those hustles, we see all of those plans, we see all of those brainstorming sessions, we see everything. It's the exact reason why we are doing this. And so whether you are running your business from an high-rise office, your shop floor, your living room with a cup of coffee in your hands, you are absolutely in the right meeting. This is 10x Your Business webinar brought to you by Loopify and powered by Number. Thank you so much once again, everybody who has joined this meeting. We are super glad to have you. We're elated to have you. And this webinar will be hosted by a professional compere and an event host who delights in people and in words, in bridging them both together. And it's my absolute pleasure to host this wonderful webinar. My name is Oluwatola. I'm fondly called Tolui, the Poet MC, and I will be the one to guide you all through this webinar. And I can assure you that you're going to have a swell time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for choosing again to spend your Thursday evening with us. We are super, super glad to have you. Now, let's just have some housekeeping reminders. So if you look at your screen, you see that there's a Q&A button there. It's written there, Q&A. That's where you can ask questions. That's where you can, if the speaker is speaking and then you have some questions while he or she is speaking, you can put it there so that your questions can get answered when it's time for the Q&A session. Also, you can use the emoji, right? Just like we've been doing before now. Use the emoji to interact. Would love to get your feedback. So the emoji is the perfect place to get that done. You have a series of emoji that you can use there. So once you click on your screen, you can see the react button. That's how you are to use the emoji. Right. So let me quickly put you through on what you're to expect today, because I know I have raved a lot. I've raved a lot about the webinar. I've said you're going to learn a lot. And once we begin the speaker session, you would see that I'm not lying at all. I'm not telling any lies. So what are you supposed to expect today? We have a series of speakers who are going to be speaking on different topics, different themes, but in all, it's to make sure that you have everything your business needs. You have the clear framework, you have the strategic tactics to 10x your business growth. And, you do this through smart marketing, through performance ad. And in this webinar, we're going to make sure that you have all of that framework in unlocking demand for your product on a larger scale, on a global scale, in making sure that you can connect with international partners, in making sure that you know how to engage your community. And we're also going to establish collaboration even in this webinar, also help you to see how you can prefer seamless payments and global reach for your business. So this webinar is super packed with all of these insights. We have speakers, we have a fireside chat that's going to be happening also later in this webinar. So as I'm speaking, I'm pretty sure you're wondering, okay, how long is it going to take? It's not going to take the entirety of your evening, but even if it would, I'm pretty sure it will be worth it. And we already know this webinar is free. I think that Loopify and Number actually deserve a round of applause for that. Please use the emoji button. Use the emoji button. Yes, I celebrate them. If you were to tag this webinar, how much will you target? How much will you target? Just check for that amount in your mind. I would ask this question again after we are done with the webinar. But for now, just give it a range. It's a lot, right? It's a lot, yes. So yes, give them a round of applause. Thank you, Loopify. Thank you, Number, for making sure that this gets to all business owners, all co-founders, founders, COO, CEO, every business person here, even employees that can be here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Loopify. We're going to be going into the speaker session very soon in just a few seconds. So I want to make sure again that you are ready, right? How ready are you? Use the emoji. How ready are you? Is it 100? If it's an 100, give me a love emoji. If it's 20, give me a thumbs up, because thumbs up just like, thumbs up. Okay, I'm seeing the love emoji. I want us to all be on our 100, even though we will not go ahead. We won't go ahead with the speaker session. Okay, so good. I love it. I love you people already. I love it. I love it. I love it. So on to the next agenda for today. We're going to be having the speaker session. And as I read his bio, I want us to give him a warm round of applause. I know you're using the emoji, but use it with all of your heart as I read his bio. John Alimi is a performance ad expert with a proven track record of helping brands drive measurable results through data-driven advertising. It specializes in crafting high-converting campaigns that maximize ROI and accelerate business growth. He is a co-founder and performance ad expert at Loopify. And today at the 10X Your Business webinar, he will break down how to create performance ads that don't just get clicks, but deliver real conversions. With a loud, a warm, heartwarming round of applause, please make welcome John Alimi. Thank you so much, John, for doing this with us and for coming here this beautiful evening. Over to you, John.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Can everyone hear me, please? Just give a thumbs up. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to be taking us through performance ads very quickly. You know, a very important part of 10xing your results as a business, right? You know, it's ads are super important when it comes to, you know, driving a lot of traffic, getting a lot of eyeballs to obviously see your business and things like that. And I'm just going to be giving very quick sort of practical tips, things that successful businesses are doing to be able to drive that growth. So, the first thing I'd like to touch on is picking the right mix, you know, going down to the customers. Who are the customers? Where are the customers, right? Advertising accelerates growth. It gives you the power to reach thousands of potential customers within hours, not months. So to make that clear from the start. So, you know, some people, or it's been an age-old sort of conversation about organic versus ads. You know, I want to grow organically and things like that, right? If you want to grow organically, that's not a problem, right? But you should know obviously what you're basically sacrificing, because again, with ads, you can reach those customers that you're sort of dreaming of reaching or having access to within hours, right? Instead of waiting for sort of months to years to be able to reach them. So general considerations when trying to reach, you know, customers through ads. Again, a very important part of 10xing your growth, really. You can think about it from like your home market, Nigeria in this case, versus, you know, can you sell your product in other African markets? And can you sell your product in, you know, sort of Western markets like UK, US, Canada? And that's something I would say that a lot of businesses have started doing even more from Nigeria, right? Where the way you price your product will be different. So let's say you're selling your products in Nigeria for like 20,000, you'd be able to like put nice margins on it to be able to sell it for some, you know, 30, 40, 50 pounds abroad, right? Because the purchasing power in this market are much higher. Um, second thing I would like to touch on is the online behavior of customers in other countries. So you need to understand how these customers think. You know, in Nigeria, right? There's a certain way, you know, you'd relate to customers especially when it comes to customer support, right? Things like asking questions about delivery, asking questions about the product, you know, how they actually even shop. For example, you know, for a lot of businesses, uh, customers would prefer to sort of shop via DMs. So instead of going via website, they would probably just, you know, go straight to your DM, ask a few questions, just want to confirm if you're like legit or not, right? In places like the UK, US, it's quite different where, you know, some of them don't even want to have sort of conversations. They just want to go on your website and they just want to make a purchase, right? So as we are aware of, you know, the differences. Sometimes in those markets, they are less forgiving as well. You know, when it comes to the operational aspects like delivery time and messing up orders and stuff like that. So you need to already know kind of an idea of what you're dealing with. Selling to Nigerians, you know, selling to Nigerians or Africans in diaspora versus native citizens. So if you have if you're selling more of like a cultural product or a product that is really just targeted at Nigerians or Africans in diaspora, again, yes, those are very different from like, you know, native sort of citizens, right? If you want to like sell to like, oh, I want to sell maybe food items or resell, you know, clothing or, you know, Ankara prints sort of stuff to, you know, let's say Nigerians in diaspora or Africans in diaspora, but I don't necessarily want to reach the mass market. The approach is also very different because that impacts how you target. That impacts how you essentially do things like your creatives, like your videos or you know, image creatives as well. Communication preferences across different markets. That is again a very important consideration because the way we talk in Nigeria or the way more communication across different regions is different. In Kenya, in Nigeria, in the UK, US, right? The way you phrase things, like in the UK, you know, they're a lot more subtle in terms of how they sort of communicate rather than super strong or direct or anything like that, right? Especially when it comes to, you know, expressing you know, themselves when it comes to like certain issues and stuff like that. Operations, logistics, customer support, very important. Shipping stuff from Lagos to Ibadan is completely different from shipping stuff to like, London or Atlanta or anything like that. So just bear those in mind. So to just put in perspective, okay, how are they, actually that different? So to put it in perspective, running ads in Nigeria tends to be more cheaper than running ads in a place like the UK. So to have 1,000 impressions in Nigeria, for example, that could cost you, let's say, or should I say 1,000 impressions on Instagram specifically. That could cost you, let's say, 5,000 naira. But if you want to get 1,000 impressions in a place like the UK or US, you're probably talking as high as 30,000 naira, 35,000 naira. So you're talking 5, 6, 7, 8 times the amount you will spend to acquire the same customer in the UK versus like Nigeria, right? Typically, conversion via DMs in Nigeria, you can, hey, someone can DM you, I'm interested in buying like this footwear, yada yada yada. Let's say a place like the US, your website must be absolutely like spot on, ease of sort of navigating the website and people finding the information that they need and things like that. We're talking about things like purchasing power as well, right? Of course, that's how when I was talking about how to price a product. If I'm selling my shoe or my footwear generally in Nigeria for 20,000, yes, I can afford to charge more in the UK and US, right? Because yes, they can, they have much higher purchasing power. Logistics as well, like I've said, very different. You have to hack logistics there and your operations where you're trying to get to these places, because if your deliveries don't arrive on time, or if you mess up an order, or anything like that, that could easily crumble your brand, right? And for you to be able to run successful ads or scale your business using ads, like an ad strategy, your brand has to be strong, your business has to be strong, your product has to be strong. You can't basically scale something that is not working, or something that is absolutely terrible, because it's even worse. Because what would essentially happen is that you're essentially promoting bad things about your business, and more people just get to see how people are sort of complaining about your service or support or delivery or anything like that, right? So that's important to bear in mind. Right. Picking the right mix, platforms and targeting. So now, if you've decided the kind of markets that you want to target, like, okay, I want to try, selling in the US or selling in the UK or whatever, right? Now you have to now decide, after you've selected the market, you have to now decide the platforms in which you want to use to reach your customers. Because again, let's say if the fact that Instagram is blazing in Nigeria and drives a lot of conversion, doesn't mean that it's the same sort of trend if you want to sell it to like a place like, let's say, Thailand, right? So Meta, to start with Meta, that's like general multi-purpose, works globally, basically in our experience. You're able to reach people on Facebook, Instagram. It is the biggest platform, right? Meta. It's got Facebook, it's got Instagram, and it's most times you could reach your customers, especially if you're an e-commerce business. Obviously, you're able to reach most of your customers via Meta. Google Ads is another platform where we know in Nigeria it's not as popular as, or should I say, it's not as utilized as Meta Ads. And that's due to different reasons, right? Some people, payments in dollars sometimes it's a bit of a restriction. And I think for the fact that people are just not familiar with the platform. They don't know how it works. They don't know some of the things that can benefit from it. But it's a very powerful platform because you're looking at people with very high search intent, and you're able to actually use that to generate a lot of leads and conversions, right? TikTok is one of the super fast growing platforms these days. Now you're able to actually run ads to Nigeria via TikTok, via your TikTok ad account, so which is great. So you're able to reach a lot of younger people on TikTok. It's super engaging, and at the moment it's not very expensive yet to be able to run that. So the pricing is really good as well. So it's a good opportunity. You can use that to create awareness, storytelling, and drive a lot of conversion as well from there. LinkedIn, as we all know, it's very skewed towards more for to reach professionals or sort of B2B. The challenge with LinkedIn is that it tends to be very expensive. If you don't have a lot of budget, it's not very scalable. That is the challenge, right? And the last one I want to touch on is X, well, formerly Twitter, where people don't realize that it's actually not very expensive to run ads on Twitter, but the challenge is, so you can get a lot of impressions, get a lot of reach, but when it comes to conversion, it's not as strong as Meta platforms or Google Ads, right? So it's very great to drive a lot of traffic. So it's good, for example, where if you're running like a website campaign to drive traffic from Twitter, drive traffic from TikTok, get them to your website, and when you're retargeting, you can retarget via Meta or Google to familiar platforms that optimize for just driving a ton of conversions, right? But again, the way you combine these platforms would depend on the countries that you're trying to target. If you're targeting, let's say the US, it's different from the kind of strategy mix that you do if you're targeting like Nigeria purely. Right. In terms of trying to target, again, this is another part where, just putting this as a bit of a detailed information anyway. When we're trying to target people or target customers, like, okay, for example, you're selling African sort of prints and want to target the US, and it's like, how can I actually target these guys? I mean, there are different ways, right? Number one is, okay, how do you actually play around with the interest to say, find people who are interested in, let's say, clothing or interested in, you might not find African print explicitly under sort of like interest-based targeting, but you probably want to start with, oh, should I target Nigerians, abroad first? Should I target Africans in diaspora? Or, there are different ways you can play around to sort of target these guys. But again, what you're trying to do is still to find those ones that will, or the particular audience combination that you use that will drive you sort of the kind of results that you want. Lookalike is another sort of approach to this, where you're trying to use the platform's AI, like Meta sort of lookalike, to find similar people to those who have, taken sort of valuable actions on your platform. So that could involve things like let's say those who have sent you a DM before, those who have made purchases on your website, and things like that, right? So it's very important to keep that in mind, that, and particularly if you don't have a lot of engagements, you don't have a lot of high value conversions like purchases that have happened via website or things like that, lookalike might not be for you. Custom audience, which is again, if you have a list of your customers of those who have made a purchase from you, you're going to upload those on various platforms and you're able to retarget those guys. Broad targeting, let the algorithm explore. There's a large but the downside to this is you need a fairly large budget and a very strong creative to be able to pull these guys. So broad targeting is essentially, you're not targeting anything, you're just leaving it to like the platforms to basically find the best sort of audience for you. My work, if you have a big, like I said, if you have a big budget, oftentimes, if you're on a budget, this is not suitable for you. Thank you. And I think to the funnel. So again, this is one thing people get wrong when trying to like scale their business, right? It is the assumption that, oh, now I have a budget to be able to try to sort of like scale my business significantly. And one thing that they miss is that a lot of these guys that are trying to reach, they don't even know you before. They're just on Instagram or TikTok, just doing their own thing. And your product is not even like a product they're familiar with. So let's say if you're selling like custom shoes or bags or whatever, or jewelry, they don't know it. It's just like, they're just doing their own thing. Some of them they're not even shopping at that time. It's not like maybe Google where they're actively searching for your kind of product, right? So it's very important to, make sure that you're patient and you actually drive relevant campaigns. It's just like people trying to sell in the UK and US. They want absolute, like, instant results within 1 month. It doesn't work like that. You're in a new market. You're trying to drive interest. You want to gauge how people are reacting to your product, right? If they're sharing, if they're saving it, if they are sort of dropping comments, if they're inquiring, those should be markers of success. And you should focus on, a lot of brand awareness first, maybe like, profile visits or things like that, right? Generation of leads as well, which is okay. You just want to encourage people. So instead of maybe sometimes your caption, you can drive them to your website to say shop now, especially if you're like, exploring the UK, US markets. But it's, of course, you want to be able to make sure that they have other means of also sort of interacting with you. So you can say, hey, you can reach out to us via DMs, or send us an email, or give us a phone call. We'd like to hear from you, right? So that is very, very important. Sales and conversions, yes. So that's That happens when you're very confident that, number one, instead of your product, everyone knows it. So if you're selling, let's say, skincare products that everyone is familiar with, like, or makeup, but you're just doing like a, you're doing a discount or something like that. Sure, you can reach a lot of people, but you still need to convince them that you're not selling a fake product, right? But if something that people are not familiar with, again, that direct sales and conversions, you want to make sure people are already aware of your brand first before you start to drive and expect a lot of sales and conversion. So you need to know where you are in different markets. People might know you a lot in Lagos, so you don't need to be running brand. You can just be driving a lot of sales conversion, sort of lead generation, sort of campaigns. But if you're entering a new market, for example, that you probably shouldn't be doing that, because you're just gonna end up being frustrated, at sort of lack of instant results, if I put it that way. And I think the last slide is creative is king. Again, imagine the kind of creatives you'd use to capture people's attention in Nigeria is different from what you'd use in, let's say, like the UK or US, right? You want to make sure that your content really resonates with those people, right? If you're using different, let's say, slangs or lingos or whatever in your ads in Nigeria, right? And you take that to the UK and US, might be saying in some type of way, like, oh, I don't understand what this person is saying, or maybe this is not just directed at me, right? So you need to make sure, like, yes, you know who you're targeting, and the good old image versus videos. 100% for me would always be videos, because a lot of times when you're prospecting and then you're entering the new market, you want to share, your product, or you want to just give people a nice feel about your business and what you sell, right? If people are familiar, image tends to help. Or if you're selling a generic product where people can get in a lot of places, like maybe popular skincare brands or something, and you're running a discount, sure, you can put an image and just put like your CeraVe and say 20% off, right? But again, it would be great for you to also have already even prepare those people's mind that you're legit, like, or a legitimate business, a business they can trust. Just because you're running, in short, that if you're running 20% off CeraVe or something, right? Some people might even express skepticism that, who are these guys? I don't know you. Yes, you want to give me 20% discount on this product that is very hard to get a discount on. How am I sure that it's real? How am I sure that it's not fake, right? This is where your creative is meant to actually convince them. Well, maybe if you're using like influencers or creators, to be able to share, talk about your brand, build some trust, right? And that's why a lot of business owners, you'll be shocked at how much people are like wondering, oh, why am I not closing my sales? Why are things not working, well for my business? But then in a few seconds, you see the kind of creatives that are using or putting on their social media or using to run ads, and you're like, whoa, okay, I'm not surprised people are like not engaging you as much, because you're showing a lot of orange flags, if it's not red flag in this, in some cases. So when you choose videos as well, they have to be spot on. Attention span is very low. Within the first 3 seconds, let people see that quality, let people know what they're getting, right? Tell people what you want from them. Shop now or send us a message or anything like that, right? Try multiple creatives. When people want to work with Loopify, they're always asking, oh, what creative should I send? Well, they say everything. Send everything, because again, on these platforms, you're able to deploy a lot of ads and just let people respond to the ones that they're actually, interested, or that catches their attention. And as I've emphasized, creatives for Nigeria is not, you can't just copy and paste for the US and UK markets, right? You need to know when to use images and know when to use videos. To summarize, how does this help with 10x in your business? If you want to 10x your business, you essentially want more eyes to see your business. It's as simple as that, right? If you have a product and you're very convinced that, I feel like my product to do well in the UK or the US, or something like that, right? You don't need a lot of budget to be able to even test and see whether you have the right sort of product for this market, and start to get some feedback and see the reaction of how people are actually reacting to your product. But you have to do it well. You can't have lazy creatives, or not think about or plan your ads properly. And that's why Loopify, we tend to help with these things. Where if you want like a creator or creators or influencers in the UK, US, or anywhere, we typically will help to connect you and make that happen, so that you have a solid brand that can essentially capture people's attention and drive conversion. But yeah, thank you. That's it for me. If you have any questions at the end, I'd be happy to take them. But yeah, thanks for joining, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. I mean, if you're appreciating John, I think you can do much more than you're doing. Use the emoji. Thank you so much, John, for that very insightful session about performance had that are actually 10x results. Thank you for showing us how to have good creatives. I love how you mentioned that videos will always do better than images, the kind of creative to use to actually have those kind of hats that will 10x results. Thank you so much. As I see those thumbs up, I see the claps. Please make them more. Thank you so much, John, for making sure that we have all of the understanding that we need when it comes to performance hats. So we're going to be quickly going on to our next speaker for today, our second speaker for today. And I hope that you have been learning a lot and you're also ready to learn more. As I read a bio, please make sure that you're ready to, welcome her with a warm and a loud round of applause, even with the emoji. Teresa Ojo is the visionary founder behind Urban Crescent with a passion for design and a drive for excellence. She embarked on a journey to redefine furniture craftsmanship in Nigeria, drawing inspiration from a Nigerian heritage and global design trends. Teresa's commitment to quality and innovation continues to shape Urban Crescent's legacy as a leader in luxury furniture and manufacturing. With a loud, warm round of applause, please let's welcome Teresa Ojo. She is the founder and MD of Urban Crescent. Thank you so much, Teresa. And after this, we're also going to be having, a fireside chat. So, keep your eyes and keep your ears on the ground for that. But first of all, Teresa will be having a session with us. Over to you, Teresa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thank you so much, Tola. It's nice to meet you. And hello, everybody. Good evening. It's an honor to be speaking with everyone again. To quickly introduce myself again, yes, my name is Teresa Ojo, and I'm the founder and MD of Urban Crescent, a furniture manufacturing brand here in Lagos. And I'm psyched, I'm super excited to be talking to everyone. Thank you again, Tola. And I know that I would be having this conversation alongside Busayo, so I'd wait for his lead.
Yes, hi, Teresa. Good to be
Hi,
chatting
Busayo.
this afternoon.
Thank you. And cheers. Tola said we should grab a drink. And so I took a glass of my favorite whiskey.
Perfect. Well, I don't have whiskey here, but I do have a bottle of water, so
cheers to that.
Cheers. So for those who don't know, Teresa is one of our longest customers on Lipify. She joined as far back as April 2023, so she's been on this with us for over 2 years, and that's really amazing. First, I wanted to just ask you, Teresa, about like your business, right? People don't know just how hard it is. Well, I say maybe if you've never done business in Nigeria, you don't know how hard it is to do business. But to see you doing business the way you're doing it, I mean, I've been to your office in Lekki, Phase 1, how excellent that place is. I know you serve some of the, some HNIs in Nigeria and maybe even outside Nigeria. Just tell us how the journey has been for you from starting out, I guess from idea stage to where you are now as, a big businesswoman in the city of Lagos.
Thank you so much. I would not want to bore you guys with what happened maybe in the early stages. It's the usual story, but I'll tell you what has been happening before. Let's say 2 years before Lupify, and I'd say 2021, 2022. Yeah. It's yes, it's quite difficult. It's tough as a business owner in Nigeria, because a whole lot of policies are not favorable to business owners in Nigeria. And I found out that around from 2020, I was just stuck on one revenue. Yeah. You try so much, you try to show up on social media, you try to show up, by creating a website, you open a store. But if you're not betting big, and in my own kind of industry, furniture, you have to play alongside the big players, the ones that have billions, and I actually mean billions. And I don't have billions. I'm just a small business owner. So I was stuck between earning, my revenue was around 50, 60 million naira every year. And for a furniture brand, it's not that great. And I think that was what prompted me to start using you guys. Lupify, I met you guys, I think around April 2023, but we started running our ads in 2023, May
Yes.
2023.
Yes.
And I think I'll talk numbers later because it's going to sound unbelievable.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you got into the ad conversation. You know, you were sharing with me the other time how somebody was saying, oh, they didn't believe you when you said that you were able to, you know, scale your business using Lipify. They didn't believe you could work what type of
Yes.
business. Do you want to share more about like that conversation you had
Yeah.
with that person?
Oh, yes. I mean, this is coming from, I would not mention him, but this is someone who owns a very successful brand in Nigeria. This is someone that owns more than, I think, over 200 locations in Nigeria. And he's someone I actually respect. I see his stories on Instagram, and he would always talk about how Instagram does not convert. Instagram should just be that place where you have to come and have crews, just let people know you're on Instagram. And I remember sending him a DM. I don't know if I shared the screenshot with you. I said,
Yeah, you
my
did.
showroom is in Lekki Phase 1, but I tell you that 98% of my customers come from Instagram, and it's because I run adverts. And he was like, are you sure? But even if they come, they're not really going to buy. Instagram audiences are not really the buying type of audience. And I let him understand that I think in 2024 alone, I made over 260 million naira from Instagram adverts, strictly from Instagram adverts. So if you're telling me, yes, maybe from his own point of view, I don't know, but from my own point of view, Instagram is one of the biggest, what am I saying? Excuse me, guys. The biggest
Yeah. Yeah, in Nigeria,
audience
yes,
for
it is.
me at the moment. Yes, it's the biggest. I mean, I was listening to Alimi talk earlier on about, going on the Google Ads, going on X, but for me, it has been Instagram, and Instagram has been where I've been just getting my clients and all of that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's our most recommended channel for businesses in Nigeria. And I'm glad
Yeah.
that has been your experience. I also wanted to, because sometimes when businesses come on Lipify, you know, they think it's magic, right? But magic, magic. I want you to talk a bit about your own effort. And I know you run your business properly. You have your setup, you have your team, you're hands-on. And what I've seen, you know, from my experience running this business is the people who get the most out of it are the ones who are hands-on, who work collaboratively, not just saying, you know what, you go ahead, do the magic. And no, it doesn't work that way. It's usually like a
True.
collaborative process. And when the business owner shows up, they're present, they're keeping track of their numbers, they're setting up their sales team correctly, they're able to get the most out of advertising on platforms like Instagram. So tell us a bit about.
Yes, I'll be very practical. I'd say something. When Lupify starts to send you leads, it is too late to start preparing. And I will explain further. Most of the time, when you come on a platform like Lupify and they do their job, I would say first with Lupify, I don't have to worry myself about who they're targeting. I know that they know my target audience, but it was important that I was prepared. First, from my customer service, because it really would be quite discouraging when you actually pay money, you pay a lot of money, and then you get leads and you're not prepared at all. My customer service was, right on top of leads that were coming in. I would even actually ask people to go to UC Interior on Instagram. If you message us, I will bet it with you that in less than 3 minutes, you're going to get, hello, my name is so, and welcome to Obank Crescent. And this is something that is very important. And also I had to make sure that my storefronts were ready. And this is not just about my physical, location, my Instagram feed has to be attractive to the kind of audience that I was attracting. The website was ready and it was, attractive enough to the kind of audience I was attracting. And one other thing was I was making sure that my offers were up to date and was interesting enough for them to actually key in, because it is not just, yes, look, if I would, you guys brought the leads. Yes. But I also understand that if I am not prepared, the leads will just, it will cool off and it will become cold. And so understanding that I was able to really leverage so much on the leads, and I was able to like turn them into buying customers.
100%. And I want you to also share, so your business is unique in the sense that so you start out online, but the closing of the customer, the deal, everything usually will happen in person, right? So sometimes you're actually directing the online traffic into foot traffic into your showroom. How are you able to make that connection? Because I know a lot of businesses struggle with that, where maybe they have a physical store, they don't know how to make that online traffic translates into people, foot traffic in their stores. For some businesses, it's easier because maybe they can just deliver their stuff to the customer and they really don't have to have any interaction with the customer. But what has been the secret for your own business?
Yes, being practical again. I think it's important to know what what will make your customer tick. For me, for some businesses, it could be discounts. For my customers, it's not discounts. Yeah, because the kind of customers that I cater to, the kind of demographic I cater to, discount is an insult to them, Freebies, yeah. It's like, I will give you a story. Last year, December, I was trying to give my customers a bag of rice and a box of other goodies. Guess what? About 80% of them were out of the country on holidays. And the ones that actually collected the bag of rice and goodies said, "Oh, I have a cousin that is struggling. Oh, can you give it to my gates man?" So I know the kind of audience that I have. So if you remember that when I came on Lupify, I was in Shangotedo.
Yes.
Yes. And then a lot of my customers are from Ikoyi, Lekki, VI, Osakpa, and all of that places. And it was important that I now had to bring myself from Shangotedo down to meet them on their turf. So the secret is meeting them on their turf. I know that not everybody can make the kind of move that I had to make. You just have to figure out how to meet them on their turf. Like if for you, discount is what would help you, drag them in, please use discount. For me, I didn't use discount. I used scented candles. I used amazing music. I used bottles of NSC, excuse me. I used, something that was extremely refined. I even went to meet them on their turf. Sometimes I'd say, okay, I understand that you want to buy these furniture pieces. It looks too good to be true. We are ready to send some of our, consultants to your space. So it is important that when you are communicating with these people, please know what makes your demographic tick. If it is discount, that is great. If it is a free ebook on how to whatever, so, that is great. For me, I've been able to hack it with you guys out. And I know that when somebody says hello on Instagram, I know that the next thing is to say, "Oh, hello, sir. Would you like to speak about your furniture, options over a cup of coffee or a glass of cognac?" So that has been working for me so far.
100%. That's amazing. So many questions I could ask, but I want to be very respectful of time. But the last one is, we're just referring to that. You made the move from Shangotedo to Lekki Phase 1. I was saying, I've been to your office, really lovely.
Yeah.
For many businesses, I think they struggle sometimes between, I don't want to, do too much and get in debt and maybe the business does not work out, versus taking a bet on yourself, taking a bet on your idea, taking a bet on your business. And it might be stretching at first, but it's taking a bet, and it could eventually pay off. And in this case, it is paying off for you, because I remember you telling me that time too. It was a stretch for you to make that move.
Yeah.
I mean, for people who live in Lagos, what rent in a place like Lekki Phase 1 would look like. That's a lot. That's taking a bet on your business. So how would you help businesses think about, making that jump that could take their business to the next level?
I'd like to say an adage. Let me see how I would be able to translate to English. Yoruba would say, "Soup with sweet na money killer." And I'll be practical. I like to be very practical. When I came on Lupify, I remember, I think my budget was like 200,000 naira.
Yeah.
My hard budget. And I was on the tier of 25K subscription plan.
Yes.
It was good. It was good. I was able from May to December, I was able to reach 100 million naira in revenue, as opposed to my usual 1 year of 55 to 60 million.
Yeah.
But me, I like money. And so I think in 2024, between January to like March again, I told Wumi, who is my handler, I said, okay, let me increase my budget a little bit. I did it to 250K. And then later on, I said, my customers, I think I need to meet up and I need to increase, because at that point, they said opportunity meets preparedness.
Yeah.
I already increased my production timeline, and I understood that I needed more leads coming in that would enable me to, close them.
Yeah.
At the moment, I know I'm currently running 600,000 worth of adverts with Lupify on Instagram alone every month. And and that was what was able to help me, canvas all of those leads I get. In a day, I don't think I stop my adverts. I do it. It's continuous every
Yeah.
month. And in a day, I think we get minimum of about 25 to 30, inquiries every day. And I would say, I know it is scary for you to, take that leap. Me moving to Lekki Phase 1, my brother, I'm going to tell you that my rent was ×7 of what I was from God said. But it was important that I did that. If you want to grow, you cannot stay in your usual comfortable space. You have to, boom, do it like a crazy person. And trust me, if you do it with the right team, you're going to get the results for that positively. And so it wasn't just about me increasing my, going to Lekki Phase 1. I also had to increase my ad budget, because let's face it, it does not make sense that I'm now there and I'm expecting to make, 260, 300 million naira in a year, and I'm still on 200,000 naira advert budget. It wasn't going to work. So that was why I had to just ×3, and I'm hoping that I would ×4 it in Jesus' name. Yes, in a nutshell, you have to take that move. It's not something, it's not chance. You have to take that move. Just jump into it and it will work for you.
Teresa, your story is one of my favorite business stories, Loopify stories, and always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for your, consistent patronage. It's been a pleasure knowing you and engaging with you. I hope this has
Thank
been
you
helpful
so much.
owners that are here. I'll hand it over back to Tola now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you so much, Busayo. This
Thank
was such
you.
a fun and interactive fireside chat. I've heard and watched a lot of fireside chat, but this one, I'm sure everyone agrees with me that it's truly about real stories and bold moves. I was so into Teresa's journey, her story, how she was able to tell us where she started from, where she is now, even where she's going. Thank you so much, Teresa. And thank you so much again, Busayo, for helping with that fireside chat and for stirring it so beautifully. We're going to have a break now. It's not a break so you can off the call. No, it's a game time break, where we also share spotlight videos, and you also get to participate in our poll that we have just provided for you. Also, I see questions already. You can keep them coming in. So now you can, if you click on your screen, you should already see the polls and the quizzes in front of you already. There are a couple of questions. Some of them are fun. Some of them are just to check. What do you still remember? What have you forgotten? But they're all business related questions. So just go through it and choose your answers. Just maybe you might have a gift waiting for you. So make sure that you actually take this seriously. Great. Great. So I believe that we're all done with that. Thank you so much for joining the poll and the quiz session. Now we're on to the spotlight videos. We're going to be looking at brands and businesses, just, two thereabouts, brands, businesses that Loopify has helped to transform. So I want you to have your eyes glued on the screen as we listen to co-founders and business owners like you. Let's watch.
My name is Ejiro Gene Udu, popularly known as the Generator Girl, and I'm the Managing Director at Premium Power Solutions. We are a tech-enabled generator rental company that provides reliable temporary power for businesses and individuals. Finding out about Loopify has been transformational for us. Loopify is an easy-to-use platform that allows us to automate our marketing from content creation to advertising on Meta and Google platforms. Before Loopify, we struggled to find customers at scale and create content for our social media page. Getting on Loopify has freed us to focus on the core of our business operations. Our customers rely on us for their power solutions, and we are very grateful that we can rely on Loopify for our marketing solutions.
Great. I hope you heard that. Moving on to the next one now. Yes, you can use the emojis to celebrate that. That could be you also, and for all of our businesses. Okay. What was the next one? All right, we'll watch one more spotlight video before we move on to the next session. I see the emojis. Thank you very much. The third video is going to be another spotlight, another testimonial from one of our businesses or brand, like you would call it, that had their, brand, their business transformed by using Loopify solutions. And I'm hoping that would inspire, motivate, and make sure that everybody here understands that we at Loopify, we're all about 10xing your business.
Give me money. I've been running my business a little over 10 years now. I make clothes for women, sweet looking women my age, my demographic. I see myself in a lot of the people that I clothe, and it's just really interesting to be able to make things that appeal to them. And yeah, that's the story. I think what sets my brand apart is how relatable it is. It's run by people who look like you, who are like you, who have the same experiences as you. So all of us are in this together. So when I have a special campaign or something extra that I need to bring awareness to, I usually have to sit down and think about how to get it to people's faces. It's not the easiest, so I would say that's something that's challenged me. Also, sometimes ads are quite expensive and you have to always have money to keep running the ads, topping up. The ads cannot stop. The product have to be in people's faces. So that's something that's challenged me. Loopify is, I'm actually happy to speak about this. Before Loopify, I was struggling a lot with my ads. I knew that I had stuff that I wanted people to see, but Facebook ads is not really my niche. It's something that is very difficult for me to understand. There are a lot of rules, and navigating that was really difficult. But when I got on Loopify platform, everything just became a lot clearer. I had somebody walk me through the process, hold my hand, and from there, things just really picked up. The ads, we were able to do so much with even the little that I had, and it's just been insane exponential growth from there. So I just take a look at the people that I'm servicing. I think they are worth it. They are worth the stress, the headache. They are worth it, and I will keep going because of them. I already recommend Loopify. I don't think you know me and you wouldn't have heard of Loopify. I always tell everybody that has a business, all my friends that are business owners, they are on Loopify. They use Loopify, and I will continue to do that.
Sorry about that. I was muted, right? Thank you so much for the emojis. Thank you so much for celebrating all of that. That is an evidence, right, that what we do here at Loopify is actually to 10x your business, and super excited for all of those businesses and brands that have had that testimony. We just had an exciting thing happen while we're watching the spotlight videos. Teresa Ojo actually sent 150K to support. All right, to support a business here. Thank you so much, Teresa. 150K in ad budget to support one of our businesses here. Thank you so much, Teresa. Can we use our emojis to say thank you, Teresa? Use the clap, use the love, use any of the emojis that you love to. Thank you so much, Teresa, for choosing to be a part of this and supporting a business, one of our businesses or one of the businesses here. We truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you again so much. So we're going to be moving on to the next speaker. Like I said, it's a fully packed webinar where we have several insights, several knowledge, to get. So we're moving on to our next session, which is by Ibironke. Whilst I read our bio, let's be sure to be ready to receive her, to receive everything that she's going to be dishing out. Great knowledge, great insight. Ibironke Alabi is a seasoned payments expert at Number, where she helps businesses simplify transactions and optimize revenue through smart payment solutions. With deep expertise in digital finance and payment infrastructure, Ibironke understands what it takes to build seamless systems that drive growth. At the 10X webinar today, she will be sharing practical strategies to help entrepreneurs like you and I streamline their payment processes, improve customer experience, and scale with confidence. Please make welcome Ibironke Alabi, the product manager and payment expert at Number, of which this wonderful 10X webinar is powered by Number. So thank you so much, Ibironke, for joining us. We cannot wait to listen to you. Over to you, Ibironke. Thank you once again.
Hi, Tola. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone, for having me. Just a moment. I'm trying to turn on my camera.
No
Okay, I think,
problem.
please, can
Yeah.
you see?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So thanks once again. And special thanks to Teresa. Even I picked a thing or two when she was speaking. So, as we know, payments are the bloodstream of any business. A lot of SMEs fail, not because they don't have customers, but because they cannot get paid reliably. So imagine engaging Lupify to generate ads for you, generate leads for you, right? Those customers make it to your store, or those customers reach out to you, but unfortunately, when it's time to pay, they can't pay. Meanwhile, your product is right, marketing is right, pricing is right, every other thing is great, but unfortunately, payments fail. So today, I'm going to show you how to scale smart, sell bigger, and grow global. Now, scaling isn't just about more orders, right? It's about handling the growth without stress. You can have a lot of customers, but unfortunately, if your payment system is weak, then it's a problem, right? So typically, when you have a lot of orders, growth reveals weak systems, and you definitely need to fix that so that you can scale comfortably, you know? So many businesses break the moment they're beginning to the moment their demands begin to spike. So imagine an average business that cannot scale during festive season, for instance, as we all know, during Valentine, during December, when there are a lot of businesses, a lot of customers who want to patronize you, but unfortunately, your operations cannot scale up, you cannot reconcile, you can't, things begin to break just because you're not ready. So how can you get ready? How can customers pay you easily? How can you see who has paid you? How can you identify such transactions without asking people to send you payments receipts? Just like Alimi said earlier, some people just want to get on your website, pay you and move on. They don't necessarily need to, or they don't necessarily want to have conversations with you. I, for one, if I'm trying to buy something and then you tell me to get into your DM to know how much it is, I mean, I'm probably never going to patronize you. So talk less of you having a properly structured website. You've put your price there, but customers cannot pay, right? They just need to reach out to you before they can make payments, which, as you can imagine, can be a real problem. So you having real-time visibility, financial visibility into your business can also help you make smarter decisions. For instance, do you know when your traffic is high? Do you know when you have lower traffic? Do you know which goods are moving faster? Do you know which goods customers don't really request for? But you having visibility into such things can help you make better decisions and stuff. Okay, next slide, please. All right, thank you. So typically, customers drop off when it's hard to pay. I gave an example earlier, right? If I'm on your website, or an average person is on your website, and I want to imagine that some of us here have also experienced that, right? Where you've managed to find what you're looking for, but unfortunately just feels very, it's not convenient really. You tend to move on. So if I can move on, if you can move on, then you can imagine that your customers have already been moving on, and that means that you've been losing such sales just because they cannot pay you easily, right? So you need to be able to adapt your payment system into your market, right? For instance, you are currently servicing a local market, and for whatever reason, you think transfer is the way. How about customers that cannot pay by transfer? How about customers that want to pay by card? What do you expect of them? Or if you typically have a physical store, if a customer walks in with an international card, for instance, what do? Will you be looking for a BDC to do that exchange for you? If for instance, you have a POS terminal, can your terminal accept that international card payment, for instance? So those are the kind of things that you need to think about if you want to sell bigger. What customers are you serving? You're not expected to box customers into your own payment system. You're supposed to understand the trend and then grow with that. Now, you need to be able to deliver trust. You need to be able to set clear pricing. Your pricing has to be clear. I mentioned earlier that if a vendor is telling me DM for price, I'm already feeling stressed mentally, right? So I feel like some of this information needs to be clear so that whoever is patronizing you understand your refund policy. There is no, nothing is hidden really. Everything is well spelled out. So whether it's on your website, whether it's on your Instagram, let customers know what your brand stands for. Let them understand the rules before they make payments, just so there are no back and forths at the end of the day. Then again, typically if you have seamless payments, customers tend to patronize you more, right? Not the kind of payments where a customer uses their card on your platform and then, they begin to get debits for transactions that they did not pay for. So the question you need to ask yourself is, as you expand, as you serve a wider market, are your payment systems, are they, apart from being seamless now, are they also secure? Are they the type that customers can feel safe using their card on your platform? Are they the type that if you send a payments link to a customer, everything is secure and then they don't have to worry about multiple charges after they've used their card on your platform? Okay, and just like I said earlier, you're not expected to box customers into your own payment system. Like, you need to be able to diversify depending on the customers that you serve. And thanks for that. So again, the world is your marketplace. Don't feel like because you're currently serving the local market and local market it is, right? I mean, everything is global now. Your next customer could be from the UK, they could be from Canada. So you need to be able to expand your reach beyond your local market. Imagine if somebody sees your, your ad on Instagram or something that you sell on Instagram. It could be shea butter, it could be snail, and then they want to pay you. How would that possibly work? Are you currently limited? Are you saying if somebody needs to pay you in dollars, for instance, it cannot happen simply because all you accept is transfers, right? So again, you need to upgrade your payments options to match your global reach. It's one thing to get paid, it's another thing to be able to pay, right? Because of course, for some of us who import goods from outside of Nigeria, we need to pay our suppliers as well. Is that a limiting factor for you? Are you experiencing challenges there? Have you bothered to look around to check what payments options can help you solve such problems, right? Because like I said, it's one thing to get paid, it's another thing to be able to make payment. Because if you're not able to pay your vendors, then certainly you're not going to have the goods to serve your customers. Then lastly, I know I've said quite a lot. I've been trying to respectfully keep to the 15 minutes that was given, but I know it might feel like a lot. It's really not a lot. The important thing is to start. Just start anyhow. You will never ever feel 100% ready. The truth is nobody is 100% ready. And I'm sure you heard Teresa when she spoke about her journey as well, right? Just start. Start anyway. The challenges will be there, but start. So that's all. Any question, please?
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much, Ronke. That was so, so good. Thank you. I love what you said at the end of this, that just that you will never really feel like you are ready, but you can just start, right? So if you have questions, please use the Q&A. I see that there's some questions there already. So, all right, if you have just Q&A session after section, after now, we're going to have a session where we get to answer all of your questions. So very quickly, we're going to be going on to our next speaker. We've been having a whole lot of amazing time learning, and this is going to be our first speaker for this webinar. And afterwards, we're going to have Busayo speak to us about the solutions that Lupify is providing. So I'm going to read a bio right now. I want us to have a warm heart ready to receive and to gain everything she's going to be sharing. Rhoda is an international partnership expert who helps gain clarity, build the community, and forge global collaborations that fuel growth. She offers practical direction on how to scale through meaningful connections and international networks. Today at 10X Your Business webinar, she will be sharing strategies for secure So sorry about that. Brother will be sharing strategies to secure impactful partnerships and scaling your business globally. With a loud and warm round of applause, please make welcome Brother. Brother, over to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, hi everyone. Good day. How's everyone doing? Thank you, Tola. I mean, this session has been quite impactful. I've been listening, I've been learning quite a lot. I hope that we have been too. And I'm excited to be sharing with you today. Okay, I think my slides. Okay, I think we can go back to the previous slide, if you don't mind. The first, yes, thank you. All right, so I'm going to be sharing quite briefly on building community and leveraging international partnerships. And just to give a bit of background, I work in the creative industry. I work in fashion. I work with fashion brands. And over the past couple of years, I've had a bit of experience being a bridge and doing a couple of like international trade, international pop-ups, and taking brands across different parts of the country, continent, and even outside of the continent. So if you're wondering why you should pay attention to this session, I just wanted to give that foundation. Another thing I want to say is that if you've been listening to a lot of the sessions from the beginning, one thing that is very clear right now is that the world is a global village. Earlier on when we were learning about like targeting our ads, well, you were learning about how you can be here and you have like consumers and people buying from you in the US, in the UK, and in different parts of the world. So I mean, in this second half quarter, I mean, at the next level of your business, if you're looking to 10x your business, you're looking to hit the next layer of revenue and growth for your business, one thing that you want to be paying attention to is how you're tapping into this global audience, and how you're tapping into this global market that you have at your fingertip. And while we've really spoken about doing that digitally, I feel like my session, I'm going to be focusing on like how you can do that, not just digitally, but in person, because as you build your business, it's very important that you start to think about like collaborations, partnerships. I mean, I'm not sure the kind of businesses that we have in the room, but like if you do adwear, so whether it's clothing, skincare, shoes, leather bags, whatever it is, beyond just doing website sales and digital sales, a lot of like consumers and buyers are going back to how like marketing and selling and buying was before COVID, meaning a lot of people are not only interested in just buying online, they're also interested in experiencing your product, experiencing your goods in person. And of course, as a brand that is based in this region, there's only so much you can do, or there are only like so many different places you can be, but this is where international partnerships and collaboration comes. So we can go to the next slide now. I just wanted to give that foundation. Thank you. Okay, so now when it comes to, tapping into international partnerships and, 10xing your business, a lot of times when, you have conversations with people, it's, oh, I want to sell in the US, I want to sell in the UK, I want to sell in this place and that place. But the first thing you really need to do is to be strategic. And I think it was during Teresa's session when she said something that like stuck with me. I was listening and she was like, oh, my customers don't like discounts. Right? They don't like giveaways, they don't like discounts. How many of us here have that amount of clarity about our customers and about the audience that you're trying to sell to? Because this is very important even when you think about international partnership, because a lot of like strategy and intentionality has to go behind whatever partnership you're doing, because you need to know the target audience and the people that you want to sell to, because that also determines the kind of partners that you have. So for example, if you're a fashion brand, for example, the kind of partnerships you have affects, or the kind of audience you have affects the kind of partnerships you will have. A good example is if you're a fashion brand and you're doing fast fashion. So if you're doing fast fashion, it means that you're selling to anybody and everybody. You're not necessarily doing a very niche or targeted audience. If you're doing fast fashion, it's easy to do international collaborations with like maybe Asian brands, Chinese brands, and co. But if you're running a business, you're running a fashion business or a business that is luxury inclined, it's slow. There's certain partners that you cannot work with, because if you work with them, it affects how your audience and how your consumer will perceive your product because of the region that is going to. So again, when you think about like international partnerships, you have to the first step is actually being strategic. You have to define like your goals. For me as a brand, this is what we want to achieve. We've done this in this region, and now we want to get into this other region. Why exactly are you looking at international partnerships? What do you want to achieve? Is it more revenue? Is it better sourcing? Is it more visibility? You need to be able to streamline everything that you want to get from a partner. In fact, even before you start to think of partners, setting your goals and expectation actually defines the kind of partners you want to have. So you have to be strategic. What are my goals for us as a business? What do we want to achieve? Because you're setting partners you work with, and they would, you would achieve increased revenue, but it might not necessarily increase your visibility because you're not necessarily like front-facing brands, but they have, the customers, they have the reach that you want. They're setting partners that you would work with. They're front-facing brands. It might not necessarily convert to immediate revenue, but they're going to get your brand in certain doors, in certain rooms. You need to be very, very strategic and intentional. So the first thing you want to do is define your goals and then set your expectations. This is also very important because I've seen this happen, even from personal experience with like partnerships and collaborations when expectations are not set. So, when you're coming, I think one of the speakers was saying it, that when you're doing business in other region, I think it was the first speaker, when he was like, the kind of language that they understand is different. So the way you speak in Nigeria and like the terms or the way you understand collaboration, for example, this is something I learned even on a recent collaboration we did with a partner in the US, in New York. The way you understand and interpret collaboration is different from the way they understand and interpret collaboration. For here, maybe in Nigeria, where we're very like community inclined, we're very support inclined, we're very, but in the US, in the UK, they are not as inclined as that. So even when you're collaborating, there might be different layers of like support that you think that you're expecting, and your partner is not aware that you're expecting that from them. So you need to define your goals. You need to set your expectations. Or from the partners that we're working with, what exactly do we want them to do? Or if you're doing retail, for example, who's going to handle picking up my products when it gets shipped there? Are they going to do merchandising? Like, you need to be able to set your expectations and define your goals. So what are your targets? Do you want sales target? Do you want brand awareness? Do you want new customer acquisition? And also, very importantly, you need to be able to have clear ROIs. What this means is you need to be very clear on what return on investment would look like for you. So that when you're approaching that partnership, because every partnership, every collaboration that you try to do, whether it's even like digital or in person, it's going to require some sort of investment from you and from your business, from your company. You need to be able to say that, what, for us as a company, what would be an ideal ROI on this investment? Or we're investing our time in this partnership, we're investing our resources in this partnership. What will be clear ROIs for us? Or at the end of this partnership, we want to have hit this level of brand awareness. We want to have acquired this number of customers. We want to, be in this number of stores. You need to also like have clear ROIs, right? This is what I want to achieve. What that does for you is every time you go into a partnership, every time you collaborate with somebody, at the end of that relationship, it's easy for you to go back and measure and weigh what you've done, and that helps you decide, if that's something you want to continue or not. And now let's come into like the practical bit of it. I'm a brand in Nigeria, in Lagos. I'm still on the other slide actually. I'm a brand in Nigeria, in Lagos, and now I want to, start to tap into global market. Or for example, maybe people are ordering from my website. I'm seeing that a lot of people are ordering from my website and they're in the US, and I just feel like, I want to get more into the US market. Or I have a lot of customers buying from the UK, from London, from Manchester, and I just feel like there's a market there for me. How do I get into those markets? Tap into established audiences. and network. And as simple as this is, I think that this is one cheat code that a lot of people don't pay attention to. And as a business, if you pay attention to this, it really changes it. What I mean is, for every region and every network you want to go into, there are organizations, there are communities, there are businesses, there are brands, and there are people who already exist in those regions, who already do like similar things, or might know somebody who does similar things to what you want to do. Because sometimes when we think about like partnerships and collaboration, we're thinking about like the biggest of the biggest brands, and there is nothing wrong with that. But when you're trying to get into a new market or get into a new region, one of the things that you want to pay attention to, one of the questions you want to ask yourself or do research on is, what are the established audiences in this region? Or for example, you're a fashion brand, you want to get into the UK. Do I know anyone in the UK? What current fashion UK communities exist? What current communities exist in the UK? What current pop markets exist in the UK? Or are there any like aggregators or brands or institutions here in Nigeria who already bridge that gap? Pay attention into like tapping into established audiences. What this does for you is that it helps you conserve resources. And this is a mistake that I've seen brands make in the past, where if you want to go into a new region and then you set out a budget, let's say you set out a $10,000 budget to get into the US market, and then what happens is half of that budget has gone into you traveling, you trying to find like partners. Meanwhile, all of that resources could have been cut down if you actually start by researching and checking like what existing audiences or network exist in those regions. So we can go to the next slide so that I can run along. In those regions. So that's very important. The next thing is, apart from being strategic, another thing that really helps with collaboration and international partnerships is you have to be authentic and consistent. What this means is that the people you want to partner with, the world is a global village. The people you want to partner with, the people you want to collaborate with, they also want to collaborate with brands, with businesses that they feel like they have shared or similar values. As a business, you need to be able to identify and define your values. And this is something else that also helps you in picking the partnerships and the people you collaborate with. Because one of the best form of partnerships or collaboration are partnerships and collaboration where you have shared values. And sometimes that values can be money, right? It can be that, you want to make money, there are partners or people who want to make money. And please forgive me if I keep making reference to fashion. Like I said, I work in the creative industry, so it's just really easy to use that example. So for example, you say, oh, I'm a fashion brand, I'm doing this amount in local sales. I'm seeing that, okay, I've sold, I've done 10K in sales, I've done 20K in sales, I've done 25K in sales to the US market. And I could probably be doing more than that because there are more people who are coming on my website, but they're not closing up their sales. And that's probably because they want to experience the brand of the products, right? What do I need to do? I want to 10X the 25K or the 10K that I'm doing in sales. So one of the first things that you want to do, like I've said, is, what brands, what existing channels, what existing communities are in the US market? What stores do I want to be in? What showrooms do I want to be in? But beyond identifying that, on the ends of like these showrooms, these partners, these stores, they want to connect with, brands that they feel like are authentic, brands that they believe in your story, brands that they feel like they have similar values. So for example, if you do African fashion, not every store in the US or in the UK will open their doors to you because there are no similar values. They are not necessarily interested in your story, and they don't have your target audience. So even for them collaborating, their collaboration with you might be a loss to them. And not every partner is willing to take that risk. And sometimes that's why it feels like, you're maybe sending DMs, you're reaching out to people, you're trying to collaborate, you're trying to form some sort of partnership, and you're not getting feedback. You might need to go back to review, your values. Like these guys that I'm sending emails, this company that I want to partner with, do I feel like, we share values? And if we actually share values, am I strongly communicating those values? Because that's another thing. And this is where like storytelling, having a consistent voice comes in, because it doesn't end at having those values. These guys also want to collaborate and partner with brands that they feel like elevate their brand, add to their current brand positioning. And, they want to collaborate with brands and businesses that help them grow because they also want to grow. You know, these international partners or people you want to partner with, whether it's in China, Turkey, the UK, the US, wherever it is, they have brand positioning, they have brand goals, and they want to achieve these goals. And every form of partnership that they come into has to be getting them closer to whether it's a revenue goal, a diversity goal, whatever goal it is that they want to achieve. So you need to ensure that, like, you might have similar values, but if you're not loud about it, if you're not, you know, if we come on your page and we can't really, it doesn't look like a brand that is credible, or a brand that is well positioned, or a brand that, you know, has an authentic and consistent voice, these guys are not going to work with you. So that's something that also affects partnerships. Can we go to the next slide? I don't think there's another slide. Okay, and then finally, very important, this is very important. And I mean, I can tell you, I think I'm going to even share on this from a personal story. 2 years ago, my company got on a program, and it was a global program. Global program, there were a lot of companies all over the world applying, and we made it to the top 20, which was great. It was, done by this big American corporation. We made it to the top 20, but we didn't make it to the top 5. And then after the program, the corporation got back to us and said, oh, hi guys, you know, we like what you're doing. We want to like partner with you. We want to support your work. This is, you know, an amount that we want to give out in funding to support and to partner with you. Is there a part of your business that caters to this, or I can literally say, is there a part of your business that caters to, I think they were trying to do, like, they wanted to do things that they wanted to support us, but we had to be registered as an NGO. And at this time, we were doing things that, you know, we're doing NGO things, for lack of a better word. So that conversation started and it went well. If anybody has had any engagement with like US corporations, you're going to do like 10 million interviews and documentations and all of that. So it was a lot of interviews, a lot of, you know, this was going on for months, and, you know, we got approved. It was great. And it's like, okay, you know, I think we had all of this conversation with the Amsterdam office. So it was, oh, great, we love this. We're going on to the next stage. We're going to move you to the New York office. And, you know, they're going to ask for documentations and whatnot. And then we got moved to the New York office. And when we got to the New York office, there was a list of documentations that they wanted us to provide. And there was one of those documentations that we did not have, which was very important. And I remember at that time scrambling, getting my lawyer, getting everybody. We tried to like get it together. I remember we live in Nigeria. So already the Nigerian factor also applied, because this was a documentation I needed from CAC. I think it was supposed to take like a week or two. We ended up taking like maybe a month plus or 6 weeks plus, and they were gracious enough to wait. We got it and we sent it, but they didn't approve us, because I'm sure that when they got that documentation, they must have seen on the date that we had just gotten that documentation, and it was something we needed for like a year or two. Now, this is how lack of structure affected, you know, an international partnership and collaboration that we could have had. So while you're thinking about, oh, I want to make more money, I want to 10x my business, I want to collaborate with the world, I want to do all of these things, it's very important that you pay attention to your structure, pay attention to your documentations. I think somebody was saying, one of the speakers was saying it earlier, you want to do global business, you don't have a USD account that you can receive payment, you don't have your CACs, probably not, you don't have like an LTD, your taxes are not updated. Structure is, when it comes to doing business with the world, that sense of anyhowness only applies here. Outside of the world, structure, documentation matters. So every documentation you need to have, your registration, tax clearance, everything is very, very important that you pay attention to all of these things. And even outside of those things, also very important that you pay attention to creating contracts, document every agreement, every word, you know, your conversation pipelines, your MOU. Structure is very important. Because it can make or mar a partnership or a collaboration that you've started. And in as much as, yes, the world wants to do business with Africa, you might need people or partners who also want to take advantage of you. And if you don't have contracts and all of these documentations set in place, it might end up being a disadvantage and not an advantage. So I think that this is where I would wrap up my session. I hope that this has been insightful. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Over to you, Tola.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rhoda. That was so insightful. I loved how that you were even able to, weave in your personal story. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure that everybody here has learned one or two or even a whole lot from that. Yes, I see the emojis coming. Let's give Rhoda a warm round of applause. Thank you so much, Rhoda. One thing that stuck with me was when you said, if we share values, are we also communicating those values that we share if we want to position ourselves for global partnership? So thank you so much again, Rhoda. Well, moving ahead with the Q&A session very quickly. So I see that we already have some questions here. We're going to have your questions answered now. If you still haven't asked your questions, please make sure to use the Q&A button just beneath your screen. Okay, so I'm going to take this question from Rosalind. Says the Nigerian financial policy said we should not charge in dollars but in naira. Okay, so I think this question is not complete. Please just, you could add another question so that we can get what exactly you're trying to ask. Are you referring to something that one of the speakers said? You could just put that there so that we are very clear. Whilst you do that, I have to move on to the next question here. Okay, the next question here is from Tidem, and it says, the next question is, how do we undo bad customer experience? This question is for Teresa. Okay, so Teresa, over to you, please. This question is for you. Them is asking, how do you undo bad customer experience? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tola. Yes, I'd like to answer that. For you, when customer journey it's very important, and when you get a bad review, probably in form of a message or a complaint, wherever, first the important thing to do is to acknowledge the complaint. A lot of times this breaks down the tension by 50%. When you acknowledge the complaint, then you proceed to know the extent of the complaints, probably the damage that has occurred. In my own case, whenever a client complains about probably a faulty furniture piece, it is first important to make sure that I acknowledge their feeling. I let them understand that yes, we see them and that their complaint is being taken into consideration. And then the next thing is that you're going to ask them, be clear and make sure that you know exactly what is wrong about their complaints, and then offer a solution to it. I think it's just a 3-step solution. Listen to them, ask more questions, and try to fix the problem. I think that's just it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Teresa, for that. Thank you for answering that question beautifully. Okay, so we are going to get the next question answered by Rosaline. Okay, in such a scenario, and as a business dealing with international clients, with this policy in place, okay, so this is a follow-up to the first question. All right, okay, I get it now. So this is a follow-up to the question that earlier, read out. In such a scenario, and as a business dealing with international clients, with this policy in place where you're supposed to charge in naira, not dollars, are you advising we charge in dollars, or could she break it down for us to understand? Okay, so I have one of the speakers answered this. This person is asking that the Nigerian financial policy said we should not charge in dollars. So how do businesses, control this? Do they charge in dollars or not? So either Rhoda or I think Ms. Alabi should be able to answer this. Ibironke Alabi, could you go ahead, or any other of the panelists who want to add to it?
Sure, I'll take that. So I'm not advising
Okay, thank you.
break the rules, right? But certainly there are foreign clients that will definitely show up. If you've been to some, top hotels, for instance, right? And then you show up with your Discover card or your Amex card, they need to be able to charge those cards. They don't have the regular GT MasterCard or, all of those other cards that we know out there. You've presented your international card. You need to be able to charge the card because you don't want to lose that sale. So I'm not advising you to break the rules. I'm just saying you need to adapt to what your customers want, because you don't want to lose that sale. You don't want to lose the customer. The customer has to pay anyway. Any other question, please? Or does that answer your question?
All right, thank you. Okay, so if you don't want to ask the question, you can give a thumbs up, a love emoji, just to be sure that we got your question answered correctly. Rosaline, you can give us a thumbs up. Let's know that we got your question answered. To them, also, you can give us a thumbs up to be sure that we got your questions answered correctly. So we'll go ahead with other questions whilst we wait for your thumbs up or your art emoji. Another question here is, what would you recommend when it comes to running ads, UGC or the standard videos? I believe John should help us answer this. And if any other panelists wants to add to it, then that's fine. Please, over to you,
Yeah.
John. The person is asking, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Yes, so when it comes to, using video creatives, right, there's no sort of one size fits all in that sense. But if you're an e-commerce business, right, I would 100% strongly recommend, having UGCs, right? Literally, the whole concept of UGC or the UGC sort of industry, right, was built around e-commerce businesses, trying to run ads. Like, absolutely, that's the history. So, and that's just because, again, it was just very obvious to a lot of people in sort of the nascent stages that, it seems like when we make videos of this style, we tend to get way more conversions. People are able to relate more because there's nothing people want more than actually seeing the product in action, right? If you look at, for in the UK, US market, or should I say in a lot of Western markets now, where if you go on Amazon, one of the big things, when it comes to the reviews is people actually want to watch videos of those who have bought it before, right? So, using creators for sort of UGCs helps in that sense that, there's just that strong connection to seeing that product in action, what the product looks like, what it feels like. It's, or at least seeing someone sort of interacts with you anyway. So it does a lot of magic, right? And even when it comes for my own reason, for my own sort of analysis, videos of people sort of interacting or using a product tend to do better than actually just even showing the product in itself, right? So should you use UGC? Yes. Should you try other video content as well? Well, if you can, but if you don't have a lot of resources, I'd prioritize UGCs and then support with maybe some image creatives, like if you want to do discounts or stuff like that.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, John, for answering that really beautifully. I hope that you got your answer. I think it was written by an anonymous attendee. So give us a thumbs up once your questions have been answered, so we are sure that you're satisfied with it. Moving on to the next question. Okay, as a professional, what's your advice for startups? Right, so we can make this really quick. As a professional, what's your advice for startups? One of our panelists could just decide to answer this in a very short manner, so that we just give a brief. Yeah,
I think it depends on the context, but it's like if it starts up in the sense of, you're just starting like your business and things like that, right? Well, let's say if it's an e-commerce business rather than like a tech startup, right? The focus should always be on products, essentially, build a solid brand, right? Very quickly, make sure you have a solid business, make sure the foundations are strong, so that when it's time to actually start scaling that up, you don't have a lot of problems. Because if you have products that people are returning and people don't like your customer support and all that, it probably makes sense to focus on sorting those out first before you start to blaze up the business. If it's a tech startup in that sense, strategies for tech startups are often very different, very specialized. And I would recommend getting in touch with us, to be able to look at, more specific scenarios, and I'd be happy to help.
thank you so much, John. So I'll just, align all of your questions together so you can answer them at once. So one is asking here, how do you really know what appeals to your target audiences? Someone else is asking, what do I do when it looks like my ads campaign is not converting? And then the third question here is, John mentioned selecting the platform for your brand. My question is, how do I know the best platform to my ads are not converting? And how do you know what really appeals to your target audience? Over to you, John.
Right. Okay. I think starting with the platform question, and let me know if I missed any questions. So the platform one, it's in Nigeria, for example, right? And again, it depends on products, but I'll give a very generic answer. If you need sort of more specialized or sort of more context specific answer, again, you can reach us to us at Loopify. But you know, within Nigeria for e-commerce businesses generally, so I'm talking about if you're doing sort of beauty, skincare, fashion, sort of jewelry, stuff like that. Instagram specifically, not even Meta platforms. Instagram specifically, it's 100%, you know, a very key platform, right? In short, I would argue at the moment probably the most important platform. Perhaps Google next, right? In terms of search and shopping, particularly, shopping is really, really good. And you know, TikTok, like I said, is also starting to really become a very important platform. But again, Instagram, 100%, I would say that's very important. If you're obviously looking to sort of sell abroad, that's a whole different conversation, and you can reach out to us because again, platforms in the UK or strategy in the UK tend to differ from strategy in the US as well. To the next question, how do I know what do I do when it looks like my ads campaign is not converting? So it's very, very important to be able to understand what the problem is. And that's why it's, you know, again, platforms like ours, Loopify, very important because it's not just when things are going well. So that when things are not going well, you know, you're able to figure out what exactly is going on. There are different reasons why, you know, campaign might not be converting. It starts from different questions. Are the right people seen, you know, reaching out? If the right people are not reaching out, you know, then that's a different problem. From the right people are reaching out, but for some reason they're just not getting over the line, right? To, oh, you're not even getting enough messages or enough leads in the first place, right? So because if you're getting free leads, for example, and expecting all free to convert, that's not how it works. There's, you know, there is a conversion ratio you'd expect for e-commerce businesses. Some could range from 5% to, let's even say for some people 40%, where 2 out of every 5 people will basically purchase. 2 out of every 5 people that purchase or add items to cart will purchase. So you need to know those things for your business. So, for example, if you've only gotten like 3 or 4 people, and you've not added conversion yet, again, that's probably too early to start, you know, worrying, right? So again, that's you just need to look at your funnel and figure out where the problem lies. And again, these are things that Working with Loopify would help you with. You know, it's just so again, one is able to analyze the funnel and figure out where the problem is exactly. And I think the last question that you mentioned was how do you really know what appeals to your target audience? So, I mean, it's 2 ways, right? The first one is what are some of the recurring sort of patterns that you tend to get? Sort of recurring sort of feedback. Like, what do people, you know, tend to, those who buy from you, what are some of the patterns that you notice with them, right? So you're able to use that and bake that into your content, into your messaging, but you have to be very observant about those who tend to buy from you. Teresa, again, has given a very good example of, oh, you know, those who tend to buy from her, she knows that they're more affluent. She knows the kind of, you know, the kind of profile that they tend to have, right? So you notice, you observe with time. And which comes to the second point, which is experience. Once you've done your business for a while, even within a matter of weeks to months, you start to notice the kind of people who tend to do business with you, right? So that is very important to be able to, again, make those observations. But that also cuts into the part of growth marketing. Growth marketing within, you know, digital marketing is one piece that a lot of people don't think about, which is how do you actually look through your sales funnel? When I say sales funnel, from those you are trying to prospect to those who you want to, you know, buy from you repeatedly, how do you basically crack some of those things that you can use to drive, you know, the actions that you want, right? Which is a whole different world. But again, we'd be happy to discuss, you know, more details if you reach out to us. But the simple thing is, you just have to observe those who tend to pay attention to your products, or those who are even like liking or things like that. And yeah, that really you'd be really, really surprised to, you know, see all the patterns that you can observe.
All right. Thank you so much, John. Thank you very much for being very detailed and explanatory about those questions. Thank you for responding beautifully. I'm sure that you've gotten your questions answered. For those of us that asked these questions, give me a thumbs up to be sure that you've received everything that John was able to explain. So if your question was here and you've already got an answer, you could just use the thumbs up so we know that we are good to go with your question. So the next question here would be for Ibirunke. It says, what can Number do for my business that is into the online sales of products? And after this, we'll be wrapping up the Q&A session. So let's have Ibirunke answer that. Okay, let me add this for Teresa very quickly. How were you able to handle challenges without how are you able to handle challenges with finances moving forward? So Ibirunke would answer the first in like 15-30 seconds, and so will Teresa do in the next 15-30 seconds. Thank you so much. Please, over to you, Teresa first.
Thank you, Tola. And for the question asked, I would like to say something first, that this question is the same that every business person would have. And every business in Nigeria would always have issues with finances, no matter how small and big. And the number one thing you need to look at is that you're the best investor in your business. You're the biggest bet that you've got. And you always have to look into yourself when you're trying to scale a business. I'd like to, like I said, I like to be practical. When I started my business early on and I did not have a store, I'm a manufacturer. Furniture manufacturing means, you need to scale really big. You need a factory, you need a showroom, but I really did not have none of those. I started the brand with, I think, about 6,000 naira. But something I did was I partnered with key partners in the industry. I started working with brands that were already manufacturing, and I would show them my designs. I would make sure that I had very strict production guidelines and they were able to create, my pieces for me. And when it was time for me to showcase, because I already knew the target audience that I wanted to, display my wares to. And I know that without a store, they would not come to me. But what I did was, because I did not have a store yet, and this was pre-Lupify, I had to now start talking to stores where, that were already established, put a piece or two of my designs there. And when their own customers come in and they like it, they would make inquiries. And so in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that you would always have issues with your finances, but I want you to see yourself as your biggest financial breakthrough. Your mind is your financial breakthrough. And if you would like me to answer more questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me. You can ask for my contact information. I'll give it to you, and I'll be happy to have more of these conversations with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Teresa, for that. So if you have further questions for John, for Ibirunke, for Teresa, we'd also have like a feedback mail, after now. So you could also, reach out to them for any other questions that you might have. Reach out to us at Lupify if you have questions on ads, content creation. And I'm sure that in our next session or in the next part of this wonderful webinar, Busaya would also be explaining or shedding more light as to some of the solutions that we help businesses to do or to transform, some of the solutions that they already offer. So let me have Ibirunke answer that question on what Number does for business, an online business. Somebody asked that. So Ibirunke, just very quickly, let's hear you on that. Over to you, please.
Yeah, thanks, Tola. So the question that was asked, we have quite a number of solutions for businesses like yours. We have, for instance, if you want to accept payments, we have Payments Link, we have online checkouts where customers can pay you via card, via transfers, via QR. If you're servicing, let's say, bigger clients that maybe wholesale merchants, for instance, you need to send them invoices. We have an invoicing tool that can help you do that. If you do deliveries, for instance, right, and then you need to collect payments via the POS, we have POS solutions for that. We also have loans. I'll be happy to connect with you after this webinar. If you don't mind, please share your email so I can have my team contact you and then we can take it up from there.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ibironke. A huge thank you to all our speakers and panelists for, shedding more lights to the questions and making sure that everybody got their questions answered. So we're going to have a very quick session where we explain how Loopify it really helps to, transform your business and provide marketing solutions. And to do that, will be none other person than our very own co-founder and the Chief Growth Officer for Loopify. Please make welcome Busayo Durojaye. Thank you so much, Busayo. Over to you, please.
Right, thanks. So yeah, to make it this real quick, so I think some of the things we do have already been mentioned in the course of the sessions. We help businesses maximize their advertising spend as a whole. So we do that through content solutions. We have a UGC platform where you can get matched with UGC creators to help you make exciting brand videos. Like John mentioned, we've seen this work very effectively, and in some cases better than static image or even infographics for your ads, right? So you can get that on our platform. Also, we help you advertise on platforms like Meta, Google, TikTok, X, if you're looking to acquire customers through those digital channels. So yeah, that's what we do. If you're interested, right now we have an offer, and also our partners number, like Ronke had mentioned, have different solutions for businesses that are selling online. And also if you have like a store, a physical store, they also have like POS terminals and stuff like that. So they can be like your perfect banking partner, not just payments, but also actually banking partner. If you are interested in any of these offers, and with Number, you can get, I believe right now, if you have like a website, you're selling through a website, you can get within the first 2 weeks of integrating with Number, you get 0 charges on all checkout transactions. So that's something you can enjoy as well. Like Tola mentioned earlier, Teresa also offered 150,000 to any business owner that is ready to get started to support your business, and we're willing to match that as well. So we have a total of about 3,000 naira for 2-3 businesses that are ready to get started right now. So if you are ready to get started either on Loopify or Number as your payment partner, Loopify as your marketing partner, Number as your payment partner, just send interested to this number on your screen right now. Just send interested to the number on the screen right now, and we will take it up from there. We'll tell you more about Loopify, tell you more about Number, and also you can be a part of like the 300,000 there that is available right now to help you get started on advertising, or advertising, reaching more customers. And also we have a lot more offers that will be communicated via email. Up to 1 million still up for grabs for few businesses that meet the requirements, or the terms and conditions that apply to this one. That's all from me. Thank you. Back to you, Tola.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Busayo, for shedding a lot of light on what Loopify has to offer to every business owner, every co-founder here, also with Number. So let's not forget to use that number, send interested. Just look at the number on your screen and send interested to that number, and then we can take it up from there and you'd have a consultation with us. We finally come to the end of 10x Your Business webinar. If you truly enjoyed this, you're sure that this shouldn't have been free, please use the emoji. Give me a thumbs up, give me a love emoji, give me a celebratory emoji. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who decided to choose to spend their Thursday evening with us. For the past close to 2 hours, we've been here learning, unlearning, making sure that we understand everything we need to 10x our businesses as business owners and co-founders. Thank you so much, everyone. You'd love to connect with us, use the Try Loopify on Instagram, use our website at tryloopify.com, on X also. We'd love to say thank you to everyone on LinkedIn, on YouTube. You can also connect with us for your business solution, and also to speak with us on any kind of issue you might be having with your business. We love to also say a huge thank you to all of our speakers and our partners. Thank you so much to you, Ibironke, to Teresa, to John, to Basayo, to Rhoda. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you so much for, giving us all of that insights and knowledge today at 10X Your Business webinar. This 10X Your Business was brought to you by Loopify, and it was powered by Number. Thank you so much, Loopify. Thank you so much to all of the team that worked so hard to make sure that this was successfully brought to you, and also to Number. Thank you so much, everyone. This is where we finally draw the curtains for 10X Your Business webinar. My name is Oluwatola, and it was super good doing this with you as the host for 10X Your Business webinar. I'd love to see you some other time on some other webinar, or maybe just another one of Loopify. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. You're going to get another mail from us after now, so be on the lookout for that. A huge thank you to everyone who has decided to join. Thank you.